Welcome to day 3 of our Craft a Day countdown to Christmas. Today we're going to be making wood gnomes and we're going to make them in 2 different ways. We're going to be using fabric and paint. I'm going to show you quickly how I cut these gnomes, but you can order them online as well if you don't want to use a miter saw. So starting with your miter saw set at a 15-degree angle, we're going to take a 1 inch by 5 inch board and we're going to just cut the end of it off, creating half of the triangle. And then I'm just going to flip the board over, and at the tip of the board where I cut my initial cut, I'm just going to cut in the opposite direction and then form a triangle with my board. If you want to make a bigger gnome, you can obviously use a bigger board, or you switch the board around and use it the other way and then cut multiple cuts with a 15-degree angle still. And then once you're done cutting, just go ahead and sand off the edges. So now that we have our triangles, we're going to make our hat, and we can do this in 2 different ways with these wood gnomes. We're going to either use fabric or paint. So first we're going to start with the fabric. I'm just going to hot glue a triangle of an old sweater that I have, and we're going to just glue that onto the top of the wood triangle. And I have a little pattern down below if it's helpful to you, but you can just cut out a little triangle that's the same shape as your wood triangle and then hot glue that on. Trim off any extra parts of the fabric, and then we're going to move on to attaching our fur and our nose. And so with your faux fur, just always make sure that the fur is going down in the right direction. You don't want the fur to be standing up. And then if you want to avoid fraying, you can rip that instead of cutting it. I find it a little more difficult to rip it, but you can do it that way. And then just hot glue the fur onto the bottom of the triangle. And then you have a really good base for your gnome. And then the last step is just to take your wooden nose, or you can use felt noses or whatever, pom-poms, and then just hot glue that on the center, right underneath where the hat meets the beard. I think looks the best. And then we're going to just do the second one here quick. And we just did it a slightly different color beards. We used more of a brown fur. And there you go. There's our gnomes. And then the last thing you can do as well is just embellish it. So I have all these little beads and embellishments in my craft supply. So I think I'm going to take these little snowflakes and just attach those onto the bottom of the hat. But you can play around with it and see what you like. Buttons or other things pine cones are super cute. So do it however you want. I'm going to use these snowflakes and buttons on mine. Just hot glue the embellishments on as a last step. And there you go. There's our gnomes. One quick alternative, if you have a little bit larger triangle, so these are 4 inches on the base, you could use the hat pattern that I've shared before with the sock gnomes, and then just put that onto your wooden triangle and cut off the bottom 2 to 3 inches, and then you'll have a covering for the wood slice, easy peasy. And then just do it the same way that we did the other gnomes. You just hot glue the hat and kind of fold it under slightly if there's a raw edge like my sweater here, and then just do this exact same steps as we did previously. Put the faux fur on, and then your nose and any embellishments that you want. Okay, so we're going to move on to the second way we can make these wooden gnomes, which is by painting our hat on. So we're going to use this acrylic paint here. And we're just going to go 3/4 down from the top and just paint on all 3 sides of your wooden triangle. And this is going to be our hat for our gnome. And I used this light blue and then this light brown. So once those dry, then we're going to move on to attaching our fur like we did with our first set of gnomes. And then just use your wooden gnome, hot glue that in place. And one thing I didn't mention, but if you do want to change the color of your nose, you can use some antiquing wax and change that to whatever lightness or darkness you want for your skin tone. And then you're going to embellish these gnomes again however you want. I'm using the snowflakes again, and here you go. This is a second option for making these. I hope you like this video. We're going to keep on crafting until Christmas, so don't forget to hit the subscribe button so that you can be notified of all new videos. Thanks again.